that run longer. You have like an hour and a half in the beginning, an hour and a half back home, and you can just soak it all in. And so you're like, while you're working, you're like, let's revisit that podcast again.
Yeah, I need to do it.
Yeah, it's good.
Wait, are we live? Oh. All right, now I'm quiet.
Now you're quiet.
Now I'm not going to talk.
Frankie. Is it Francis or Frankie?
Francis is my real name.
Yeah.
Frankie's my...
Your tatter's name?
No, that name was given to me from my parents. I don't know. That's just what they called me. I found out my real name was Francis probably when the teacher asked me in school.
They read the paper and was like, Francis? You're like, who's that guy?
Yeah, so, but I like that name. I wish I went by Francis, but now it's been too long.
Next time you move somewhere else, you just start introducing yourself as Francis.
I think the next lifetime I'll be Francis. Now it's Frankie. Well, it's turning into Frank.
Yeah.
As I get older.
Okay.
I do like Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
more
Frank.
mature.
Yeah. I always think of Frank's Wild Years.
Yeah.
With like Tom Waits. Damn it. Welcome. Did we get your last name?
We weren't live yet.
No, we weren't live.
No.
Frankie Caraccioli.
Perfect. Spot on. Now everybody knows how to pronounce it correctly.
It's not anything else but that. Well, welcome. I'm so grateful that you were able to be a part of the podcast, and maybe you had some misgivings about joining it, but
yeah, I'm happy I'm doing it now
with a studio audience.
Yeah, the pressure's on.
Tell me your deepest, darkest secrets. No.
Well, Megan's gonna have to leave the room.
Okay. You can listen to it later. You've been on kind of my radar. I've been following your work for a while. And,
oh, cool. Thank you.
I think the first time I saw you was popping up when you were working at Kings Ave. Yeah, how long were you in New York?
So before I moved there permanently in 2012, it was like 2 weeks after Sandy hit. I was guest spotting there every month for a week at a time for the 6 months leading up to it, because Mike asked me to work there. And that year, Megan and I were getting married, or had our wedding planned, and I told him, well, we can move, but we have to wait till this happens, and can I guest spot up until then? And he's like, sure.
Oh, wow.
And then I thought it'd be a good idea to do every month for a week. And it was cool.
Where were you living before?
We were in Claremont, California, and I was working in Upland at Classic Tattoo.
Okay, yeah.
And I worked for Corey Miller for a short period of time, also at 6 Feet Under.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you were traveling from California once a month?
Once a month for a week, yeah. And I'd fly Virgin, so I could sign for the frequent flyer miles. And I think the last trip was free because of all the miles. And
that's wild.
It was fun. I would never did that before, so I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to be like a traveling work person, Just didn't have the briefcase.
Right. It's funny that I remember that time that superstorm Sandy.
Yeah.
I got trapped right outside the city.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was with a friend. There was 2 contests. I used to do these like drawing contests and painting contests.
Cool.
And they were that weekend, and I was staying at a friend's house. There was no way to get out. I had to stay there for like a whole weekend.
Was it in Manhattan or in Brooklyn?
Well, I was staying right outside, I think, White Plains. Is that right? But where the contests were, there was one in Manhattan. There was one in Oyster Bay, I believe. Both of them got canceled. Yeah. And then I was just stuck at a friend's house, and he had no electricity, and his family was away. So I was afraid to just leave him. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'll be trapped with no electricity and no food with you for a whole weekend. And then they finally like cleared everything out. But we were trying to leave. The power lines just sparking in the street. I was like, yeah, I'll stay with you.
Yeah, I was nervous. I called when it happened, and I was like, is the shop okay in Massapequa? Because they're right there, and I know the flooding came up pretty high, and then I was like, is the shop even gonna be okay? Should I come up or like postpone the trip? They're like, no, we're still tattooing. You're good to go. Wow, power's on. I was like, okay, I'm driving cross country now. Like,
oh shit.
And I drove there in like a week. And then later on, we packed our stuff and had a moving truck bring the rest of the stuff up. But I drove solo, and along the way, did some guest spots.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I was just going to ask if you did a straight shot or try to break it up.
Yeah, I broke it up. I think the first place I stopped in Vegas, and my aunt lives there, so I was like, oh, I'll visit her. And then the next morning woke up and drove to Salt Lake City. My friend David that I worked with at Classic Tattoo, David Flores, he was guest spotting at Yellow Rose Tattoo.
Okay.
And I never met those guys before, so I was like, oh, cool, I'll come meet you and stop in. And they said I could work there, and I ended up, I don't know how many days I worked, but I ended up tattooing and hanging out with them, and that was a good trip, and it was awesome.
That's awesome.
A lot of fun meeting those guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to go back, actually.
And you do a lot of traveling in general? I think we were talking earlier that...
Yeah, we're on a year of traveling right now, which I thought we were going to be traveling even more, but we realized it was going to be kind of tough to leave our animals for that long, and also it gets tiring.
Yeah.
You think, oh, it's going to be great, be on the road forever, and sometimes it gets a little tiring. We realized that 3 weeks is our limit. After 3 weeks, we have to go back, reset, and then can go back out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess being in a new place and not knowing like where to eat every day can be kind of stressful, but I guess when Luana and I have done it in the past, it's been kind of liberating to kind of just go. It's
fun, and it's definitely an adventure, but I can feel like I'm just a little more tired because you're always on.
And when you're tattooing at the same time, it's a little extra.
For me too, because I have like OCD with work, and I have to have certain things in certain places, and when I'm in a new place, it's harder, and I'm like trying to be this carefree, like, oh, it's okay, you know, and in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm running behind. Like it happened tonight, you know, I'm like, oh, it's 30 minutes past close, like get in my head. So
you're a part of the skeleton crew.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, I'm always, it's either at my shop right now, it's me or Mark Nava that are working late. Like we're closing down the shop, and we're always burning the midnight oil.
See, I like it.
When I leave on time, everybody's shocked. They're like, whoa, you finished on time today. I'm like, yeah, it's crazy, huh? Stars aligned.
Only if someone cancels.
Yeah, that too. That's usually the reason why. Oh, my second one canceled.
But I mean, you're American, so I think we have this kind of thing ingrained in us. Where we're just like we
work.
Yeah. But I'm slowly learning to take it back, or at least try to change my perspective but yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing that lately. I don't feel guilty too much that we take so much time off to travel, and you can sometimes feel it from other people, like, oh really, you're going on vacation again. It's like, at first I felt weird, like, oh, I should be working more and tattooing more and stay put, and now it's like I love it, and I'm okay with telling people, yeah, it's okay, you know, the work will be there when I'm done traveling, but me being able to travel and do all this right now, that's not going to be there later. You know, I got to take advantage while I can, and while people still want to get tattooed by me, because who knows, 10 years from now, you know, they're not going to want to get tattooed maybe.
Yeah, that's always the underlying fear, I think, for most tattooers. It's like, you're busy now, but in a few more years, it could be someone else is doing those tattoos.
Yeah, the wave will crash eventually, so.
Yeah. But so far, it's been going up.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Couldn't be any better, you know. The whole time, ever since the beginning, I just wanted to get good enough to travel. That was my goal in tattooing. It was what drove me.
Yeah, it blew my mind. I told this story before, but it just blew my mind that you could work at a different shop that you weren't a part of already. And like that whole idea of being a guest at a shop, I was like, oh, how do you do that? Do they ask you? Do you ask? Like, what's the protocol? And then all of a sudden it just starts happening.
Yeah. I did my first guest spot prematurely, and I was asked to go, but I didn't really have, you know, I was 5 years in, maybe a little longer, but I didn't have like a following, and I was just doing walk-in tats, but I was like, oh yeah, cool, I'd love to. And it was in San Francisco. And I went and did no tattoos, sat there, and actually I did one, but it was on my friend that I was staying with, and I was like, cool, so I can't guest spot, you know, like it's not gonna happen. So I went back to the shop and, you know, sit down and work and get better at my craft until it's time.
So you got discouraged from doing it, or
I was like, okay, I'm not good enough yet, so I just gotta practice.
And then you find
study.
out that what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
New town, no one knows you.
Yeah. But the internet definitely made it a lot easier to go to other places and work and have clients.
Yeah, definitely.
Even coming here, I was nervous, like I didn't know if I'd have work, and it's been awesome. I've been lucky enough to have some work. So very happy when it happens. I don't expect it, and I don't expect people to know who I am or anything.
With this trip, did you come directly to Denmark from the States, or did you stop off somewhere before arriving here?
We stopped in San Francisco first. It just worked out. Timing was I don't know if we planned the trip to San Francisco first or to Denmark, but we timed it perfect where we could go to that Ed Hardy exhibit at the museum. And
I'm jealous.
Yeah, at the Young Museum. It was awesome. And, we knew it was going to be like fly in, do that real quick, and then from there fly out. And, it costs a little bit more, but it's worth it. We'll just do the extra flight and fly out to Oakland. And it had a direct flight to here, so it worked out.
It's pretty fast, isn't it? Because it goes over the pole.
Yeah. You go right over Greenland. I was like looking out the window to see if I could see anything, but it was just all cloud coverage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Earth is not flat.
The Earth is not flat. No. I always tell people you can go skydiving. You'll see from yourself the arc at 13,000 feet. When you're out of the plane, you see the curve of the Earth. So all these flat earthers, they just need to jump out of a plane. With a parachute.
I was going to say without.
Because there's that story about the man in Florida, flat earther. I saw it on the internet. It was funny. Yeah. My brother sent me that.
He just got done watching the documentary on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I watched part of it. I couldn't handle all of it, but
no,
it was just ridiculous.
It's hilarious. I love it. But it's funny when you start talking to people and you get some people who are like, well, I'm on the fence about this. You're like, no, you can't be. We've already decided.
I have a friend that is a conspiracy theorist. He believes all of them. Yeah. And he believes that one too. And I just let him talk and listen. And, it's interesting, but.
You don't provoke them at all?
No.
I feel like I would have to.
Yeah. Just, you kind of feel sorry sometimes, but I don't know. Anyway, maybe they're right and I'm wrong. Yeah. And he'll be laughing.
Well, you have your circumstantial evidence of the skydiving.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with.
There we go. I trust you.
We can go together.
Yeah.
See for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. Anytime you want, let me know.
Have you skydived often?
Nope, just once. I need to do it again. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I would love to.
Bungee jumped 3 times and skydived once.
Yeah.
And bungee jumping is way scarier. I rather skydive than... Yeah. Well, I'd bungee jump again, but it's still, I'm scared of it.
Because it's a shorter drop, or?
It's, you can measure your fall. Yeah. So you jump out of the plane and you feel like you're floating. Unless you do a flip and you can see the plane, the distance change. But yeah, when you bungee jump, you see the ground coming. And it's just like.
Oh, yeah, because with the parachute, you're floating down to the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. It's easier. Jump out of the plane. It sounds weird. It is. My wife said she'd never seen my face so scared in her life when I was bungee jumping.
Oh, wow.
And I felt it.
You did the bungee jumping as well?
Yeah, we did it. It was actually for my birthday.
No, that was my birthday. I took her skydiving for her birthday. I surprised her for skydiving. I said, we're going to the mall. I packed her shoes in the trunk because I knew she wouldn't be wearing shoes. She'd have sandals on. I was like, okay, we're going to take the long way, go to the mall. And we're driving past the skydive place in our town. I was like, oh, look at the skydivers. They're out today, Let's check it out. Let's go real close so we can see them come down. And it's like, okay. And we pull in the parking lot, and then I get out of the car. And she's like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, we're going skydiving today. And she's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. She's like, I don't have shoes. I was like, don't worry. They're in the trunk. And like 30 minutes later, she's jumping out of the plane.
Oh, my God. I'm surprised you went with it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I just wanted to do it.
Okay.
But I wasn't ready that day.
Yeah.
Great.
So, yeah, we're always up for adventure.
That's good.
I mean, if you told us right now, 30 minutes, we're going to go, I'd go.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Fuck the casino. Let's go
skydiving.
Let's go skydiving. We just came from Tivoli. I had my mom and dad with me, and we did that thing that I was telling you about that just dropped
the free
you.
Fall. Yeah. What is it called? I know it's called Scream at Knott's Berry Farm, right?
I don't know what it was called.
Something like that.
But that thing was wild.
Yeah.
It felt like you were being sucked down into the ground. And it was over before you even knew it.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, then we're bouncing back up. And I was like, oh, okay, it's over. You almost want it to go up again and drop you again.
Well, that's, the bungee jump, you go down and then it pulls you back up. And that's like a whole nother sensation where you just get this like swing feel, rubber band shot back up. And we did it off this bridge. And they said if you did it correctly, this certain way of jumping, like it was like a pencil dive style, that you could bounce back up and slap the bridge with your hand.
Whoa.
And I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And what if my head hits this bridge, you know? So I didn't try that one.
No, but fuck that. So after here, where are you going next? You're going to Sweden?
Next is Sweden to go visit Johan. Yeah, so we're gonna hang out, and tomorrow he has planned to go see the Iron Age ruins, I believe, or something to do with the Iron Age.
Okay.
And then we're gonna picnic. And then maybe barbecue at night, he said.
Sweet.
And then the next day we're going to ride some Harleys.
Nice.
So it's going to be...
I see him on his bike all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Last time he came up here, he brought the bike.
Awesome. Yeah, his is a really nice bike.
That's great. And then back home, or?
After that, we're going to head to Stockholm for the day. Maybe stay 2 days, depending. And then to Oslo. And when I'm in Oslo, I'll do a few days Blue Arms tattoo and hanging out with those guys. We still haven't booked our place to stay up there, so we're just going to go with the flow and see where we're going to stay in.
Perfect.
But yeah.
Beautiful up there.
I can't wait.
Yeah. I was only up there in the winter time, so I'd be curious to see what Oslo looks like now.
Yeah. When I asked Morton when's the best time to come, and he mentioned now, you know.
Right.
So I was like, all right, we'll plan for the summer.
Very cool. One of the other things I wanted to ask you about was the tour you did with Justin and Zach, and was it just you three?
Zach was on it partially. We brought Zach on when we went through San Francisco. The four main were Paul Doberman, Justin Weatherholtz, Brian Thoreau, and myself. And Austin Maples was supposed to be part of it, but he ended up doing like pretty much all of it, which was awesome. I wish he could have been on the entire tour. He's so awesome.
What spurred that on? Who was organizing it? Or
it all started with my traveling. So when I left Kings Avenue in 2015, I did a cross country trip with my wife. And it was 21 days, I think we were on the road. And I just had all these photos and, you know, things to share. And Justin saw it and he's like, man, I really want to do that. I was like, let's do it. Let me know. We can plan a trip. And then he's like, okay, yeah, we'll get something to go. And then we were talking about it some more, and I was like, you want a tattoo while we go on vacation and do this? And he's like, yeah, that'd be fun. And then I was like, well, for tattooing, I was like, what if we invited some friends? I was like, what if we got a camper? And then it just turned into this, let's just do this tat tour. And it just happened organically. And next thing we know, a year later, we're tat touring.
Wow. What spots did you end up going to?
The tour started in Austin, Texas, and ended in Portland, and we did like a little zigzag through the states. But we did Austin, Dallas, then drove through New Mexico, and they stopped and stayed with Zach's dad. And I had to go home at a certain part of the trip because my father passed away like the day I got to Austin, so I missed Austin, Dallas, and I joined back up with them. I missed Denver too. And I joined back up in Salt Lake City. I still want to go back to Texas because I've never worked there. Right. I've only hung out in Austin, but I've never even seen Dallas. Hopefully I do that soon.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then from Salt Lake City, we went to Zion, did a little like nature hike, and I took them up to Angel's Landing, but we went halfway because Justin and Brian they get scared of heights, so they didn't want to go any further when it got to the chains. Yeah, it was awesome to go there. And then we went to Vegas later that night and partied, and that was wild. And Paul and Austin stayed up all night. It was crazy.
We can talk about that later.
Yeah, those are some stories. And then after that, we drove straight to San Diego and worked in San Diego. And then in my town, we worked at the Long Beach Port City. And then went to LA and then San Francisco, and then ended it at Atlas Tattoo in Portland.
Wow, that's amazing. And how long was it in total? How many days?
It was a month-long tour.
Wow.
Yeah. So a month-long in an RV that wasn't too big.
Mm-hmm.
And, but since we were all really close friends before, it went smoothly. Like, there was no arguing or fights. It was pretty cool how it went. Like,
yeah, you really, I think, find out who your friends are if you go on a trip with them.
Yeah. Well, when we were planning it too, I was like, should we invite, like, how should we do this? And I was like, let's just keep it real tight. The friends that we know we're close with and going to get along with, and no one's going to get, weird about, because it's going to be rough. Like, you're going to be, roughing it, and some people can't handle that. And you know which friends of yours can't, And it's nothing bad, but you just know, like, oh, he couldn't do that, so we're not going to ask him.
Yeah, exactly. But if they had, friends of theirs that similar tastes, and would have been fine for them. But
yeah, we definitely put together the perfect band for that tour.
That was cool. I enjoyed seeing it as it kind of popped up my feed every now and then.
Awesome.
I was like, I don't know hardly know any of you guys, but just seeing it was fun, to feel like, oh, it's cool that these people are doing something different, or like living life essentially.
Yeah,
and
it was fun to do. It was hard too. I don't know, just being on the road that long, and it was like, you get to this new shop, you wanted to hang out with everybody, so you're working all day, and then you're like, okay, we're going out tonight, and we got to work tomorrow, and it's like, you got to also draw, and if you weren't doing flash, you got to draw in between. So it was just like a lot. You're like, okay, I guess I'm not sleeping. That's what we're doing. This is the no sleep tour.
And missing the lady.
So yeah, we were tired at the end, but it was awesome. Definitely happy we did it.
That's great. I overheard you talking about the Everest trip. Do you mind sharing that trip at all?
Yeah, sure. We went to Everest Base Camp in March. We decided March because it's less busy. It's a little colder than when we started the hike. I think the second day in, there was snow on the ground, and the rest of the way there was snow. But yeah, if you go in busy season, it's like you're waiting in line to cross these suspension bridges for 30 minutes. So that just doesn't sound fun. It's better weather, but I'd rather, suck it up with the cold and have a better experience.
Does the prep time for that trip, is it a long time of like getting kind of used to hiking that much, or even the altitude? What kind of goes into planning a trip? I don't know if
people, I could see people just doing it. It's probably not the best idea. You probably should do some little hikes and definitely train for it, which we've been hiking for a while. I did my first hike at Havasupai Falls in Arizona, and that was like 2008. That was my first real one, and I did it like in skate shoes. I didn't have like the proper equipment. I probably just had a regular backpack on, but it's like 10 miles in, and then you camp for 3 days by the river, and there's like these blue waterfalls. It's like the super clear water.
Wow.
It's awesome, and it's an Indian reservation, and then you hike out. That's the worst part. Is the very end is these switchbacks that you have to do out of the canyon.
So back and forth.
It's horrible. I was pushing my wife. I was like, you got to keep on going. I want to get out of here because it's hot too.
Ugh.
And then I remember we were leaving, walking to our car, and there was this car parked, and there was this big boulder that crushed this car. And it's right on there, like, there's
like a recent...
Was it the hood or the windshield? It was just the top of the car. They weren't driving anywhere. It's total.
Okay.
And I was like, man, when these people hike out of these switchbacks that are horrible, they're going to come to their car and be like, oh my God, we're not going anywhere. Got to call a tow truck.
So that's a common thing of just loose falling boulders.
Yeah, you're in, wilderness, and rock slides happen for sure.
Damn.
Yeah, they definitely weren't lucky.
Wow.
But so we started with that hike, and then after that we did little hikes here and there, and we planned this Everest trip, and I was like, okay, we should practice on a mountain, the highest mountain nearby,
right,
before we go. So we planned a trip to Mount Whitney. That's 14,500 feet peak, and it's still, Everest Base Camp is 17,600, so it still was not that high, but still good training. And also you do Mount Whitney in 2 days. You could do it in 1 day or 2 days, which Everest, it takes 8 days to get up top.
Wow.
To the base camp, just so you don't get sick from elevation.
And when you're coming down, do you have to take it slow as well?
No, you can come down as fast as you want. It's going up. After 10,000 feet, you only can climb 1,000 feet at a time safely without
passing out,
risking you getting elevation sickness. And it starts with a headache, and then you start vomiting, and then people die. They go to sleep and don't wake up.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You gotta be careful. You just gotta do it slow.
And you need a guide, obviously, to.
You don't need a guide. Well, they say you need a guide, but we learned there was a couple of people on the trek that didn't have a guide, and they're fine. They're leading their way, and there's a lot of groups going, so they can just follow and tag along. You're supposed to do with a guide. Sherpa is optional if you want someone to carry like your gear.
Okay.
And then you just carry the stuff like your food that you're eating that day and your jacket and your like little things, and they carry your sleeping bag and clothes and whatnot. Now
at each camp you can get new supplies like food and everything
so
like that?
They're called tea houses. They're kind of like backyard sheds. There's no insulation to these things. Center blocks maybe. It's like plywood, and then there's cracks in the seams and cold air is coming through. It's not that great of a shelter. And then with the fires, they only start them at 5 o'clock at night, and they only do it for dinner to heat up the water to cook. And then, by 8 o'clock, there's no fire. So you're just cold. And once you get higher up, it's colder and colder. And then there's no wood. When you get past a certain elevation, I think it's like 12,000 feet.
So it's past the tree line?
Tree line, yeah. It just starts getting rocky. And so they have to start burning dung. So it's cow dung that they dry. You'll see these patties that they make on the rocks. And they dry that out.
How was your morning coffee?
Yeah, you would think it would smell. It doesn't smell at all. Right. And, the guy was like, one of the Sherpas was cracking it in front of me and throwing it in this stove. And I was like, man, like this dung dust, am I going to get pink eye? Like being this close to this dude, But yeah, nothing happened, and it doesn't smell, and it works perfect. So
yeah, if it's all
and it's
grass,
keeping me warm,
right?
so burn it. Yeah. Maybe it's not good to breathe in. I don't know, but it's a short period of time. So
better than being cold at that moment.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
The tea houses, they're great. I'd rather stay in the tea house than in the tent when it's cold out there like that. In the summertime, it's so busy. People have to sleep in their tents because there's no room in the tea house.
I think you're the first person I ever met that went to Everest or base camp, and that's incredible. Like, did you do 8 days down as well, or did it go a little bit quicker?
12 days total. So
yeah, it's a lot easier going down.
Or was it 12 or 11? I think you're supposed to do it in 12. I think we were quicker. The weather was good. It just depends on the weather and whatnot. But I think we might have did 11. And then once we got down to Lukla, we had to stay the night before our plane the next morning and fly out.
Wow.
So maybe that made it 12. 12 days, no shower. So we were pretty ripe.
A lot of baby wipes.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's my record now. I haven't gone longer than that.
Nice. I think this is a good place to cut it.
Oh, yeah. All
12 days of no shower. Yeah. We'll leave you with that.
I'll let you know. Yeah, I'll let you know when I go longer. I think you'll know.
So where can we find you if we don't already know where?
You can find me on Instagram, death_cloak, and that's where I post when I'm going to be guest spotting in different countries or different states. And then you can find me at my home shop. It's Port City Tattoo in Costa Mesa, and I'm there. Right now, it's not as frequent because I took this year off to travel, and our stuff's in storage, and yeah, we're just kind of being little nomads. But after this October, we're going to slow down with the traveling, and I'll be more stay put then.
Awesome. That's wonderful. If I ever come out to California, I'd love to say hello.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. You could work with us anytime. Yeah. It'd be awesome.
I might hold you to that.
Yeah.
Just want to thank you again, and you did fantastic, by the way.
Awesome. I'm happy. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a safe trip the rest of your journey until you get back to the States.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job.
Thanks.
Good job. See, I told you.